Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Scout Watch. And today we're going to look at one of the most interesting games and one of the best games of this week. It was the Milan derby last night. It took place between obviously AC Milan and Inter Milan. And it was just a cracking game. It was so end to end with great passing, great technical skill on both sides. And all in all, it was a fantastic game. Inter Milan won the game 3-2, and we'll look at it in more in depth to see which of the players played really well, which of the players stood out, and which of the players maybe did not play so well and did not do that well. Both sides high pressed. Inter played with a 4-3-3 in attack. Perisic, Lautaro Martinez, and Matteo Politano were the front three. As for Milan, they started with a 4-2-3-1. Christoph Piontek, his first Milan derby, and a lot was expected of him. We'll see how he got on. Defensively, Inter were a 4-4-2, and for me, it was an Inter performance that had heart, that had mentality, that had spirit, and high technical level. As I said before, both teams were playing really well, and it was a very fast-paced games. And with the thing with these derbies, sometimes these derbies can be a bit dull, and it can go 0-0, and it can just be a bit boring where both teams don't want to lose. But this one, Inter were going for the win, and they had to go for the win for three main reasons. The first reason being they had a poor performance in the Europa League in midweek, and they had to show their fans that they're back and that they want to win, and that they're playing for the shirt. That was the first reason. Second one was that it's against their rivals, and winning this derby would mean that Inter would go into third place and would go above Milan. So that was a massive incentive for them to go and play well and win this game and start fast. The last reason was also for Spalletti. There was talk about Spalletti being losing his job if this result did not go his way, and if Inter had to lose, there was a bit of rumors or maybe some talk that he might lose his job. So it was very important for these three reasons, and Inter really showed it on the night. Their passing, their progression, their build-up, it was absolutely great to watch, and it was a great game for the neutral. Also, this was the game in which there were the highest number of hospitality seats that were sold out, or packages that were sold out. Around 4,000 foreign fans traveled to watch this game, the highest in Italy. So it was also a good spectacle for them, and I'm sure that number will increase in the future. For me, the star players of Inter, on a night where everyone did well, but for me, the star player would have been Mattias Vecino. Number 8, he was in the midfield with Roberto Gagliardini and Brozovic. And although everyone in the Inter played well, for me, he was a star man. Why was he so good? Simply because what he was doing well was he was picking up space in the pockets, and offensively he was really creating. His touches were good on the day. His movement to stay in the pockets when Inter got the ball and become an outlet was incredible, and that gave Milan all sorts of problems. They didn't know how to deal with it. They didn't know whether to press or to ask a midfielder to drop back, or for the center backs to intercept the ball before he gets it. And he was just causing all sorts of problems. Scored a goal in the 3rd minute, close range finish. It was a volley set up by Lautaro Martinez, and all in all deserved his goal. And for me, he was the man of the match. He was just incredible for the 90 minutes. Mattias Vecino. He's a Uruguayan. He has been linked with Tottenham, although that was last summer. I'm not sure again if Tottenham are going to go back for him this summer. Another player that did really well for me was Milan Skriniar. Now, he has been a rock for Inter Milan. Solid player. He's been linked with Juventus, and I have to say, for the whole game, he pocketed Christoph Piontek, and we'll get to Piontek in a little bit later in this segment. But for now, we'll talk about Skriniar, and he was just absolutely immense. Had a chance to score a goal, but he missed the header and therefore could not get on the score sheet. Had he and Vecino taken chances that they had in the first half, they would have finished. They would have seen the game. It would have been done and dusted in the first half itself. They could have been 3 or 4-0 up. But Skriniar, again, excellent performance. Another player who got on the score sheet and who did very well in this game was Stefan de Vrij, Dutch international. Now, if you remember, I said de Vrij had a poor game against Eintracht Frankfurt, which he did, probably cost them their place in Europe in the quarterfinals with that mistake. So, having said that, this was a very much needed performance in the derby against your rivals. Now, as a scout or as a person analyzing players, you always want to see one of the key things, that is personality. You know, when someone plays badly in the first game or has a bad game, you always want to see how they're going to respond, how they're going to be back, what they're going to do. You know, are they going to say, oh, I had a bad performance and continue having a bad performance, let the performance get to them? Or are they going to say, you know what, I had a bad performance, it's all right, now it's a big derby, I'm going to make sure that I stand out. And usually when players score an own goal, you quite often notice that they score in the right end as well. You know, that happens quite a lot of times in football. It's no coincidence. It's simply because of the desire of the player, the determination to say, you know what, I will bounce back and I got this. So with De Vrij, the fact that he had a poor performance in the first leg, sorry, not the first leg, in the previous game against Eintracht, this was an incredible performance, and his goal, it was world class. It was a world class header and it was incredible. Other players that were really good were Brozovic, had a fairly decent game. If I were to rate him, I would say he had a 7 on 10. Politano was incredible as well, 7 on 10 for me. And all in all the Inter players were top class. Moving on to Milan now, they scored 2 goals, lost the game, but they didn't do too badly. They were not really in it. Inter Milan played better than them. Sometimes you just have to give it up and say, you know what, they played better than us, and that's how it is. So for Milan, they have to just do that and say, you know, we didn't play too badly. Although that being said, they could have played a lot better. For me, again, standout player for AC Milan was Bakayoko. Bakayoko was incredible. Bakayoko, he was excellent. His touches, his movement, his holding off the players, 3 or 4 players. It was just a joy to watch Timothy Bakayoko. And this is not the player that was there at Chelsea. This is a completely different player. Hats off to Gattuso for reinventing Bakayoko. Hats off to Bakayoko for the work that he's put in. This is an incredible player. This was a player that was there in Monaco, scored a goal with an incredible header, and all in all, he was just a wonderful, wonderful player on the night, and unfortunately was on the losing end. Another player that played only for 45 minutes but had a fairly even game was Lucas Paqueta. Brazilian signed for 35 million in January, his first Milan derby. He had a okay first half. He was good in some moments, but not consistent enough in the first half. Gave the ball away a couple of times, but when he was good, he was excellent. There were a couple of skills from him that, you know, typical Brazilian skills that made you go like, okay, you know, wow, this player is really something. Had a shot saved by Handanovic as well, and all in all, Paqueta showed glimpses of what he could be in the future, and for me, I think he's an excellent player, and he didn't have too bad a game. I would say he would, if I were to rate him, I would say it would be a 6 on 10 or a 5 on 10. Another player who was really poor on the night, unfortunately, was Alessio Romagnoli. This is the player that's linked with Manchester United, Chelsea, and he didn't do anything to suggest that, you know, he's a top player if you're just going by this game. He has been good throughout the season, but that's for another topic. But just for this game, he did not do anything to convince anyone. He was very poor, and just overall not up to it. Romagnoli picked up a yellow as well, and just not there. Another player who's linked with Arsenal and Tottenham, former Liverpool winger, is Suso, Spanish player. Again, towards when Milan really were down 3-2, he was really pushing. Him along with the substitute Castillejo were really good. They were pushing. He put in a great cross for the second goal of AC Milan, which was scored by Musacchio. He was really pushing, really doing well, taking his man on, playing good balls, connecting well with the right back, and really put pressure on Inter Milan towards the latter stages of the game when they really needed him to step up. So it was fairly decent performance, a fairly good performance, although from Suso you can always expect more. He's a player who has scored in the Milan derby in the past, So I do expect more from Suso. However, you can say that he did try his best along with the other Milan players, and it just maybe didn't happen for them on the night. Although that being said, they still scored 2 goals, and the overall performance, in my opinion, was not too bad. Last but not least, we're going to talk a little bit about Piontek. Now, dominated the headlines coming into the game because there was all talk about him in the newspapers and leading up, building up to the game. Piontek, he's going to take the derby by storm, his goals record, and he's just going to be a major factor and a deciding factor in the derby. Unfortunately, he wasn't, and that's simply because having watched Piontek play for 90 minutes, he's an incredible finisher and has very good link-up play, but what he's missing is the ability to dribble. If Piontek was able to add the dribbling aspect to his game, I'm not saying that he needs to take on 5-6 players like Leo Messi or someone else. I'm just saying he needs to be able to take on a player and hold the ball up better, and therefore use skills to hold the ball up and make chances or create on his own. You know, you look at the top strikers in the world, Luis Suarez, Cristiano Ronaldo when he plays as a striker, and you look at some of the other strikers like Lacazette or even Harry Kane or Rashford as well at Man United. These are strikers that are good at finishing, but at the same time, these strikers can also take a man on. And with Piontek, I don't see that enough. I don't see Piontek taking his man on enough. Link-up play is exceptional, and he has 19 goals this season. But another key stat which backs up my point is that he has 0 assists this season. Now, if he adds that to his game, he could be a completely different force, and he could be 10 times more stronger than he is right now. And he can dribble. He does have good pace. It's just he needs to add that technical element to his game to make him a better player. And it's because of that particular reason, Skriniar, a top center half like Skriniar, just had him on toast the whole game, because every time a ball kept coming into the box, Skriniar defended it. You know, at 6'3", 6'4", you expect Skriniar to defend it. Skriniar is also good, is a mobile player, so every time he had to intercept a ball that was coming to feet, he was able to do it. He was able to read the game and see when Piontek was moving to get the ball, when he was trying to make space to receive, and therefore just completely dominated Piontek. But for me, I think Piontek is a top player. He's, for me, one of the best strikers in the world right now. He was linked with Barcelona. He moved to Milan for 35 million, and it's his first season in Europe. I'm sure he'll learn, and I'm sure he'll adapt that part of his game. And with Gattuso, he's in the right hands, because Gattuso is a top manager, as you can see, completely worked wonders with Bakayoko, and I'm sure he can do the same with Piontek. So that's it for Scout Watch. Those were some of the players that we looked at. There's an international break coming up, so we might look at one or two international games if possible, for a scouting purpose, to see who did well and who didn't. And until next time, there are some interesting games coming up once the league resumes. So we'll be looking at some important games. But that was the Milan derby for you. The players that did well, the players that didn't do well, all in a few minutes, in about 10 minutes. The perfect place to understand what players offer, what players don't. So stay tuned for the more Scout Watches to come. Watch the previous Scout Watches as well. Some interesting games there as well. So that's it for me. Until next time, see you guys.